And then I said, wait a minute, you don't know. You're projecting, you're assuming, and you don't know what the outcome could be. Don't judge it. Don't live in the future. Let's just see what happens. So I didn't say a word. I held it in. Our daughter's been at the camp for over a week now. And I'm like, oh my God, she loves it. She's getting dirty. She's making friends. She's milking cows. And everything that I thought was going to happen, none of it has happened yet, right? I don't know. She could follow a horse today. It's life. But none of it has happened. No, but that's what I was scared of, right? So by being aware of, okay, taking a breath and saying, you know what? Let's allow miracles to happen.
I'm John Kim, a licensed therapist who used to be a miserable fuck before going on a hero's journey and turning expired relationships into revelations. I use my story to help others come with you instead of at you, unrehearsed on purpose, because self-help doesn't have to be polished or complicated, just honest.
So here's what I was thinking. Well, first I need permission. Do you want to be a part of this?
You have to tell me what the topic is before I can say yes or no.
Well, the topic is mindset after having a revelation, but it's using your story, my story, real life stuff. So it has more to do with you, but I'm hoping because it may be a podcast, you'll be less defensive. If I stop recording, I'm scared you won't listen to me.
Well, you have to give me the context. I can't consent if I don't know what you're about to bring to me.
Okay, so here it is. Most of your life, as you have told me, you have thought, okay, I assume the worst is going to happen, no matter what it is, and then if something great happens, then I'm pleasantly surprised, right? And I think many people maneuver that way, and I think many people maneuver that way because they've been burned. I think many people maneuver that way because things don't work out or they don't want to be disappointed. So it's a form of self-protection in a way, right? And I was thinking today, it also leaves little room for miracles. And I thought about you because I know the stars are lined up this year for, according to social media, the Taurus to rise. I know you have a book coming out. I know you just launched your own, I was going to say cooking channel, but that's not what you did.
I wish.
Yeah, you just launched your own coaching school. So there's a lot happening this year, which I'm super excited about. And so I just want to offer you something, and then you take it or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
So the arms crossing is already a sign. Okay. This morning, I'm using this as an example because when it comes to big things like our house,
A lot of buildup. This better be good.
it may or may not. It may or may not. It's built up, but it's also
We're fanning out.
being cautious. I'm being cautious. I'm being careful. I'm being respectful. So when our house burned down, because it's such a big thing, you're great at not staying in survival mode. You're great at execution. You're great at rebuilding your life, not being a victim, all that, right? Generally. So like whether it's breakups or big things like that, I think because they're so big, you have the tools to do all that. But what's interesting is the little things, the things that kind of become hairline cracks. I think those are the things that are really more important to look at. And so I'm using this morning as an example. It's a very simple example. It's not a big deal, but I'm using it because it's fresh. Vanessa only had an hour today to do a lot of things, and she wanted to she had to get all the stuff in within an hour. And then, she has to do her hair and get made up and all that. And so she, rightfully so, was kind of panicked. She's, the ticking clock, you got shit to do. And you said, I can't get all this done in an hour, right? And my thought when you said that was, what would be my approach? Because that was the knee jerk. And my approach would have been, oh, I only have an hour. I'm going to now challenge myself to do another video. I know you don't think that way, but when you announce, I only have an hour, I could do my hair. Okay, it's not going to happen. So when that comes out of your mouth, it's not going to happen. It really isn't going to happen. And I feel like now you're not leaving any room for miracles. So what could have happened was you go in, you look at your hair, and you're like, oh, I actually don't need to do much. Or you're doing a video, you're on a roll, and you knock out more, right? And so there's so much that could have happened. And a lot of times in life it does, where I think you cock block that by early announcing, now it's not going to work. You know what I'm saying? So you're not even doing it consciously. You're doing it unconsciously. You're doing it as a knee jerk. And so I want to point that out because I want this year to be amazing for you. I want this year to be full of miracles, like when you first met me. And so I want to offer you like just to try it, just to see if you can be aware of that, not do that. So miracles can happen left and right.
I'm not defensive. This is something you've told me already multiple times that you've reflected to me.
And this is not personal. You did nothing bad to me. I'm just observing you and your day and your situation.
But you've given me this feedback / reflection before. I think that there is an unconscious element to it, sure. I also think that it's what happens when I'm overwhelmed and overstimulated. But what I've also said to you before is I am light years different than how I used to be.
Right.
I don't know that I turn it off entirely. Part of it is overstimulation. Part of it is like we are wired differently, and that like how I respond to overstimulation is just different than how you respond to overstimulation.
No, so the reasons why you're doing it is fair, and I understand that. It's not about me. I don't care.
Well, you do because we've
Well, no,
done this multiple times.
right, but this is not a conversation where I'm saying that bothers me. That bothers me nothing. I'm observing it and saying, hey, to me, in my series, in the way that I live, the way that I've learned, you may think I'm an idiot, but I feel like I know some things at 52. And one of the things that I know about light is I really believe in this idea of like the lower frequency and the higher frequency because I used to live there where something didn't happen or I catastrophized. I'm punching walls. I'm basically collapsing on myself and the thing doesn't happen. And so that's a great example because it's so minor, because it's not a big deal, because we're just talking about one moment in a day. But I feel like even that is a lower frequency. And then let's play out what really happened. You went in. I don't know if you did videos.
No.
Okay.
Because the timing got screwed up for the other thing I had to teach.
Right.
So I didn't know time.
So more wrenches were thrown. People got the time mixed up. You were late for class. So yeah, there weren't any miracles there. But then I noticed myself, because then I had anxiety because someone messed up the schedule, whatever. Like now my students might be upset. And so I let myself feel that for a second at the gym, found myself dipping, and then I let it go. Meaning it's not going to mess anything up. I'm not going to let it mess my day up. I'm not even thinking about it now, right? I'm not holding on to it. I'm not trying to blame someone. I'm not digging through emails. Like, no, it's not a big deal. It's over. I think with me, I consciously try to always stay at a higher frequency. And of course, I dip. But whether we're talking about like anger, catastrophizing, distorted thoughts, here's another example. When we decided that our daughter, who hates heat, is going to go to a farm. I didn't say this out loud, but I was thinking, no way. She's going to be too hot. She's going to complain. She's not going to like fucking milk cows and ride. Like the whole thing I thought was it's a car wreck happening, about to happen. There was a lot of negative in that, right? And then I said, wait a minute. You don't know. You don't know what you're projecting. You're assuming, and you don't know what the outcome could be. Don't judge it. Don't live in the future. Let's just see what happens. So I didn't say a word. I held it in. Our daughter's been at the camp for over a week now. And I'm like, oh my God, she loves it. She's getting dirty. She's making friends. She's milking cows. And everything that I thought was going to happen, none of it has happened yet, right? I don't know. She could fall off a horse today. It's life. But none of it has happened. No, but that's what I was scared of, right? So by being aware of, okay, taking a breath and saying, you know what? Let's allow miracles to happen. Let's allow for something to happen that I didn't think. And that's actually what's happening. So like using that as another example in life, there's a lot of things that I jump the gun on, and then I take a breath. I try to stay at a higher frequency, and then sometimes miracles happens. Sometimes they don't. But I think if I poo-pooed it, and if I said, hey, listen, I don't think it's responsible, let's not do it. And then maybe if you agreed with me, we would have canceled it, just had a sitter, and then we would have stripped Logan of all these experiences. So just using like that as an example, if you want to attract, if you want to change belief systems, if you want to break patterns, if you want to get to a place where you never thought was possible, I feel like the work is in those kind of moments.
So I agree with you. And I'm going to go back to this, what I said a second ago, which is I am light years different than I was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Let me finish. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I hear what you're saying, and not that this is what you're doing or your intention in doing it. But I think for those of us where our upbringings wired us to constantly be on the lookout and constantly be scanning for danger, it can feel very shaming to say to somebody, just increase your frequency. You're not going to attract the things that are going to make your life wonderful if you're living in that state. Like, do you think I want to live in that state? Like, no, of course not, right? So what I'm saying is, for people listening who can be on my side, understand, and I want you to hear this, that the way that you're saying it can be taken as a very shaming way to say to somebody, just raise your frequency. Like, it's not that simple, right? Like, now let me finish. So that also understanding that where I can go with it sometimes is in my life, for the most part, my chosen relationships, whether we're talking about birth order, whether we're talking about like, where there's an Al-Anon, there's an AA, an addict, like the kind of different people, the different energies, the people who like are the opposites attract. I tend to surround myself with people who have similar mindsets to you, which first of all, I think I do that partly because I need more of that in my life. But also, there can sometimes be this feeling in me, which is like things are always working out because you're probably also always around people who are helping things always work out. And I'm usually one of those people. What I find is that there's a lot of people that can be like, but things always work out, open for miracles. And you're like, yeah, there's probably 1, 2, or 5 people behind you making sure that your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted. And you guys also work in tandem together as a team. So it's like, it's basically to say, like, I'm not justifying the way that I am. I know that it comes from childhood and I know that I can continue to kind of work on it. And also the different dynamic. I think there's also something in the way that dynamic works together. Like, make sure the T's are crossed and then the energy that dreams and doesn't think about the T's. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes. First of all, I'm not putting. I had a fear that you would think that I'm putting you on trial, which that's not. My intention is always to use my story or our story to help other people. Like, that's all this is. Of course, you've come light years. I'm not even. That's not even a conversation. And also, I'm not saying that you should do anything. I'm noticing and just having an offer. As you may notice some things and have an offer as opposed to, like, you wouldn't say to me, because it would be a very different conversation if, like, I said, hey, here's what you should do, or hey, I don't like it when you do that because it's affecting me. That's not what I'm saying. That did not affect me at all. It's me noticing from the sidelines and saying, oh, I have a thought, because I used to live like that, and my life didn't change. The phone didn't start ringing until I started living in a higher frequency and started to change that. I just want to note that. And I know it's hard to not take that personally, of course, right? And I think my big point is it's in the little hairline things. It's not in the big things, because you're never in victim mode. You're a survivor. You've done so many things, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But it's the little things that go unnoticed that I think adds up. And then it kind of kinks miracles. I just use the word miracles because I feel like in the last 6 months, we've had a lot of miracles.
I guess what I'm saying is I completely agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying.
Well, the other part you're saying is that you check me. That's the other
I
thing.
think energetically we check each other.
Yeah. That's a different conversation, and I agree. I mean, that's one of our superpowers as a couple, I think, right?
What I'm trying to say macro, I think what it's reminding me of is like, we keep doing this work. We all have our own work to do. We all have our own journey. We all have our own wounds to work on and heal. But we can't separate those wounds out from the macro, the collective in which those wounds are put on display, right? So like, as you've continued to lean into miracles and higher frequencies, I think some of that comes from you have more financial stability, you have more romantic stability, like those things work in tandem. So like somebody who, for example, is
Or had.
have somebody who is working, a 9 to 5, like paycheck to paycheck type job, can't afford to pay their bills. It's really difficult for them, for example, to switch into higher frequency.
Yeah, of course. But when you say I have more romantic
Stability.
stability, are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Like us.
Oh,
Just saying that, like,
okay.
you have these systems in place now that allow for you to show up in a way that is more like, do you know what I'm saying?
I thought you were talking when you said to me you have more romantic stability. I thought you meant I have backup plans. I have options if this doesn't work. I was like, what are you talking about? You're talking about from the point of view of someone else, not you.
Yes, I'm just saying in general, your life is more stable, which leads you to be able to not live in fight or flight, right? The stability is part of the work towards not living in fight or flight. I guess what I'm saying is
Yeah,
the reason
100%.
why I go back there, when I dip back there, is when I'm overstimulated, right? Like I don't live there. I don't live there all the time. So like if we're talking about like the things that are going to come my way or the projects or like opening up to the doors opening for me, like I don't live in that space. I dip into that space when I'm overstimulated. I guess I just find like that. I feel like that's a nuance or like a difference that's important to say.
Yeah, and this is also, look, I could be totally wrong. I could be completely wrong about
I don't say
this
they're
theory.
wrong. I don't think
You have to play it with it, but you have to play around with it with yourself in your own life to have those revelations and to believe, not just hear someone. But it's almost like what I think what I'm trying to do is like, let's say you're doing a deadlift, and I'm just saying, hey, if you put your leg to the right, you're gonna be able to lift 10 more pounds, and that's it. But then it's also, as a couple, it's hard to then not take it kind of personally because now you're telling me what to do. Like it's like loaded a little bit.
Mhm.
Why do you think? Because there's this other thing that's happening. It's not even about what we're talking about. Why do you think I'm doing this? Why do you think that I am playing a filmmaker and doing this a la cops, handheld documentation, video podcast, this episode? Why do you think I'm doing this? Because this now has to do with me and my corrective experience. Speaking of lower frequency, higher frequency. I mean, a part of this is just me playing with my Legos, but why do you think I'm doing this episode in this style?
Well, because you're showing me that this is how I can record, I'm guessing. And I can use this to record the videos that we were just talking about earlier. Is that part of it?
Uh, a little bit. The reason I'm doing this is because I can right now at this point in my life dip into a lower frequency because there was potentially whether there's a documentary or something via film crew we were going to film here, and the whole thing fell apart, which discouraged me. And you have to allow yourself to kind of grieve that.
Yeah.
But then what's after? Because I refuse to live there, I said to myself, well, I'm going to document like I usually do. And I don't need a film crew to do that. And so this episode is an example of me trying to stay higher, leaving room for miracles,
Yep.
producing joy and flow states. And also, I really appreciate you giving me the space to do that. Right. So I'm using that topic of higher frequency and catastrophizing in a real life example as kind of just a way into me giving myself selfishly an experience to in my body be creative and not wait by the phone, but actually just go do shit. So that's why I'm doing this, is also so I can stay at a higher frequency. If any of this relates to you, or if you can relate to any of it, take it in. I spent most of my life in 2 years, dread and worry. And then from 35 on, through many, many reps, and I'm 52 and I'm still struggling with it, I try to stay in a through me, for me, instead of a to me, by me. And I noticed that that's when miracles happen. Thank you for listening. Be well.